everybody. This is Tanya from Tango Business Coaching, and I'm back. It was a bit of a delay, but back on our third video of becoming a drama-free leader. And today we are talking about how to not take things personally. So one of my very, very favorite books that I read ages ago and still continue to reference to this day is called The Four Agreements. One of the agreements in this book is actually called How to Not Take Things Personally, or just don't take things personally. So I'm just going to read a little bit and quote the book, just to kind of set the stage here a little bit. So from the book, whatever happens around you, don't take it personally. Nothing other people do is because of you. It is because of themselves. All people live in their own dream, in their own mind. They're in a completely different world from the one that we live in. When we take something personally, we make the assumption that they know what is in our world, and then we try to impose our world on their world. Even when a situation seems so personal, and even if others insult you directly, it has nothing to do with you. What they say, what they do, and the opinions they give are according to the agreements that they have in their own minds. Taking things personally makes you easy prey for these predators, the black magicians that they're called in the book. They can hook you easily with one little opinion and feed you whatever poison they want. And because you take it personally, you eat it all up. But if you don't take it personally, you are immune in the middle of this hell. Immunity in the middle of hell is the gift of this agreement. So if we're thinking about this from a leadership perspective, here are a couple of ideas and a couple of scenarios. So are you as a leader worried about whether your staff or even your peers, whether they like you? So therefore you are avoiding a tough conversation or perhaps just not dealing with a performance issue. So you just kind of kick it down the road and you say, it's not that big of a deal. I'll just forget about it, except you don't, right? Because resentment builds up over time. So there's one idea. Or perhaps it's when somebody on your team does something or maybe even doesn't do something. Do you worry that it's because of you or is a bad reflection on you? There are a whole host of situations that might cause you to feel a certain way about your own personal leadership style, leading you to either not lead well or causing you to worry about things like imposter syndrome, right? Like you feel like you don't belong in the role. So I've come up with a little framework that is certainly just that. It's just a framework and it's meant to be flexible with scenarios. But the more that you can keep things factual and not take things personal, the easier and better it's going to be dealing with actual situations when they come up. So my first suggestion on this is to prepare yourself, right? So get really clear with yourself on the expected behaviors and outcomes of your staff and even other relationships, especially before going into a conversation. Make sure you're really clear on what you expect from the other party if it's one of your employees. Have a meeting with them, whether that's face to face or whether that's virtual. Have an actual conversation with the employee about those expectations and the results, the outcomes that you expect from them. They may have an entirely different perspective or even just suggestions. You should definitely consider anything that makes sense in terms of the goals and the expectations that you're setting for them. Either way, by the end of that conversation, there should be an agreement on what the expectations and outcomes are. The employee should fully understand and comprehend what is expected of them. Okay, so that is the end of the meeting, and this is what's going to set you up for real success, is having that agreement in place. So the third thing, so now that you have those agreements in place, if somebody goes outside of what you've agreed upon or outside of what the desired results are going to be that you've agreed upon, then you're going to want to pull them in and you want to meet with them again to discuss what happened and why things went off the rails. It's not about you, right? You already have a set of agreements and expectations in place and they've fallen outside of them. It's quite factual, right? Now you just have to address it very unemotionally. Certainly, again, you want to be empathetic and you want to listen. And if there's something that needs to be tweaked or changed, again, you can both agree to it. If not, then you do have to hold the line on that expectation, and then you gain agreement again. So the fourth thing, if you're in a conversation with somebody and they say something that either triggers you, causes you to be emotional, or they actually say something that you need to maybe research or look into, it is okay to step away from a meeting before you have agreement. It's okay to research. It's okay to resume the meeting at another time if you need to do that. Clarify your thoughts, stay factual, make sure you're not taking anything personally, and then get back into that meeting again with the employee. The fifth thing you need to do here is articulate a path forward. So you've gained agreement with them again. If they continue to fall outside of the lines of those agreements, or if they continue to have performance issues, you can now agree on what a consequence might look like. And depending on the employee and their performance, the severity of the consequence is going to be, anywhere from very minor to something more severe. There's no need to get sucked into the drama of it all or of their excuses, right? So you get to decide factually and unemotionally how you can have these conversations with them. Again, you want to make sure that the consequence is clearly articulated, that they understand it, and acknowledge what the path forward is going to be. So again, the disclaimer on all of this is a very loose framework. Of course, there are all kinds of situations and things that can require you to be a little bit more flexible or nimble, and there might be multiple conversations before you kind of get to the end or get to any kind of consequence. That's okay. Again, the whole point of all of this is always gaining understanding and always gaining agreement on whatever the path forward is. And if you need to put that in writing, then put that in writing, right? I know this is a lot easier said than done, but if you can use this concept and this model of getting to agreement, then all you're really doing with each other is holding each other accountable to it, right? So language, when you're in a meeting with somebody, is something like this. So when we met before on a prior occasion, we agreed that X, Y, and Z was going to happen. And 1 week later, you went outside of those agreements and you failed to meet the expectations that we both agreed to. So help me understand why you were unable to meet that agreement. And then at that point, that'll open the conversation and you can decide how you're going to move forward. So good luck. I encourage you to have the tough conversation. It seems like it's really tough and uncomfortable, but it's also tough and uncomfortable living in resentment and living in frustration. So getting through the uncomfortableness of a conversation is much easier on the other side rather than letting resentment and frustration build up and drama build up. So good luck to you. I wish you all the best. If you have any questions about this, feel free to message me or comment. Happy to have a conversation as always, and I will see you again next time. Have a great day.